Sometimes you really cannot predict this thing or fake it. Wow. Dropped the relic together, we opened the same relic together, and both ended up with... It is the common drop, it's kind of expected. As I've said before, it's not that hard to get it. The prime barrel and prime receiver are hidden behind the Axis C6 relic as the uncommon drop for the barrel, and the P2 holding the receiver as the rare drop. Fact I don't have this makes it slightly problematic. Obviously this thing has huge improvements. Instead of it being a rank 8 that does 72 damage, it's a mastery rank 14 that does 104. Even the burst shot does 104. The crit and everything else, slightly the same, but it's gone from 10% status to 24. This thing has... It shows so much promise, at least at the moment. It's always good to be able to walk up here, go to this, type in Pandero and go, ha! All 3 parts, time to build this thing. A little bit later, time to take off. I love the Spore Lacer. It has been so much fun. I want to try it in its primary form. I have no idea what skin that is, but obviously, comparing the two, you can see the difference in damage. The Pandero Prime has more status, more damage, more status, more damage. I formatted that 4 times, finding out what polarities were on that originally would be a complete waste of time, but this will come with more. It has 1. Really did. Still makes me laugh. Usually these things come with more polarities that saves you time. This didn't. I'm guessing it's because of the massive damage buff that this thing has been given. But it should still be amazing. 30% crit chance, nearly 30% status, with that kind of damage. Oh, this thing better be amazing. I was using Augur Pact in this slot, so swapping a 90% damage mod for 104, but increasing status chance, reload speed. Recoil doesn't really matter the way this thing fires. Its alternate fire will suffer, but its normal one not so much. But we'll need to polarize a dash for that, because I took Target Cracker out, and yeah, I'm not willing to give up that much damage to run that just yet. So back in with that. And after all the grief, shall I put it as, I got for the Tenora Prime video, where I basically said I don't use the alternate fire mode of it because the primary fire mode with the fire rate mod is so much better. There was reasoning behind it I didn't get into, because the reasoning behind that is the Pandero Prime. Oh, this thing in its single fire mode is much better than the Tenora Prime's secondary fire mode. So I kind of see the Tenora Prime as a auto rifle that has the ability to one-shot amazingly, but would much rather jump to this and use this in its primary fire mode, which just, I wouldn't say one-shots everything, but definitely does more damage. Doesn't really have more status, but definitely has more crit on that one hit than the Tenora Prime secondary fire mode. So this, oh, this thing is amazing. I was obviously leveling the two of them up at the same time, and every time I wanted to get that precision shot in, I would swap to this. It just happened. I fell into that and stuck with it. This thing has really, really good accuracy. Though it only has a 16 accuracy, it's still better than the Tenora Prime, in my opinion. Other people think otherwise. I'm just trying to say why I said the Tenora Prime's secondary fire mode wasn't really that good over its primary, because this thing just does more damage. I mean, even with the mods on, I think the Tenora Prime was 522.7 damage. The charged fire mode of it, let's go with that, was just over 5,000. This is less, but it doesn't have the charge rate to it. I think this with the mods I had on was 2,626. so it's near enough half the damage, but you can fire it 3 or 4 times in this time it takes to charge the Tenora Prime. Then there is the secondary fire mode of the Tenora Prime. I couldn't really fault this. It was great for so many different things. I don't think I ever actually recorded a single one of them. Playing different missions, people will use Nidus or 4-ban, suck all the enemies into one spot. Any frame that had the ability to suck all of the enemies into one spot, and I was originally using the Tenora Prime, shooting into it. This is happening in Elite Sanctuary Onslaught a lot, but I very quickly found shooting the Pandero Prime into that bubble of enemies was not really doing enough damage. It was hitting an enemy. Obviously punch through would help this a lot, but instead just use the burst shot that basically empties the magazine at once and annihilates everything. It does exactly the same damage, literally exactly the same damage as the primary fire mode. There's no real difference here, but it does it all at once. It just basically empties the magazine and there you go. All enemies in that bubble gone. It is really hard to aim the burst shot of this though, the alternate fire, because it recoils like crazy. Easy to counter, as long as you know that it's going to do that. First time you fire it, you may think to yourself, wow, that was a bit more recoil than I was expecting. The second time you'll be able to counter it very easily, but the accuracy, because of that, obviously goes down. I think the semi was 16, the burst shot is 8.2, but they share the same crit chance, they share the same damage, they share the same status, everything is the same. It just shoots so many more rounds much quicker, which helped more than I thought. This is one of those secondaries, this is one of those weapons in Warframe where I do use the secondary fire mode more than the primary fire mode. I can't really say that. I prefer the accuracy of the semi than the burst shot, if I'm being honest, but I use the secondary fire mode a lot on this weapon. It's really good and saves this thing, because there is a lot of single shot accurate secondaries, of which this is not the best to begin with, but the secondary fire mode on there makes it great for a little bit of crowd control, saving it quite a lot. Otherwise, yeah, if this thing just had normal semi-fire mode, it wouldn't be as good. Sadly, but true. But I think we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.